Hi, my name's Rebecca and I'm from Berlin in Germany. I believe in a sustainable future. I care about young and future generations, and I care about a healthy humanity on a healthy planet. I reminded politicians and I try to influence decision making at any level, be it as the bike activist in Berlin or as the UN youth delegate in New York. And now a virus has arrived. A virus of all things reminded us that human health and the health of the planet are inseparably linked. It has brought a lot of suffering, but it has also the merit of removing the unnecessary and focusing on the essential. The virus interrupted our noisy, hectic lives. Now, when I look out of the window, I no longer see cars, but children playing. And instead of exhaust gases, I breathe fresh and clear spring air. In this time of silence, not only the air becomes clearer, but also my thoughts. I found time to dream about our future society. I was dreaming about a city in which I would ideally want to live in. A city that even my future grandchildren will love to live in. A sustainable city. A city that combines the ecological, the social, and economic level of sustainability. And there's also a fourth dimension that we tend to forget in our public debate. It's the cultural level. It's the level how we can touch and reach human beings and trigger behavioral change. And all these levels are interlinked. So today, I will tell you about this dream. You are invited to close your eyes for a while, to follow me into that dream. Well, let's see how Berlin could look like in a sustainable future. So it's early morning and sunshine is waking me up. I take a deep breath from this fresh air in our house that comes from the big plants that are along our staircase. They cool down our indoor temperature. It's too hot outside already, but we don't need an artificial air conditioning. So I take my bike to work. Today we only have streets for bikes. We don't have cars anymore. They were using up too much space. They polluted the environment. They were too dangerous, too loud. And if you cannot go by bike for whatever reason, you could instead take the car to fly. Car to fly is a full automatic two-people drone. Now, as we all cycle to work, my colleagues are so much more relaxed at work. They could also reduce their medicine and their visits to the doctor. We now have less dangerous accidents and we can leave our windows open during the night. And the places that used to be the parking lots, well, here we now have benches, flowers, and tables for coffee time with the neighbors. I really love my way to work because I can chat and laugh with people on the way, and I love to look around. Do you know what I see? Actually, the buildings, they don't look like we know them maybe from futuristic pictures where buildings are only made of concrete and ferric high-tech skyscrapers. We added a lot green with hanging plants all around the buildings. That made them more livable and less terrifying. Well, actually, future turned out to be greener and different than we had expected. So next, I'd cross our old central elevated railroad, and that is now turned into a greenway elevated park. And after turning around a corner, I drive by a huge wild forest, which is left to itself. It's almost like a jungle. We were learning from our mistakes. We only understood the important function of the rainforest for our climate and biodiversity when we almost cleared it. After this point, we started planning big nature conservation areas inside and next to every big city. Here, animals and plant species that were almost extinct had a space to recover and reproduce. We needed to relearn that we have to respect nature and should not invade the habitat. If you were lucky, you could spot one of the mighty European bisons that used to be reduced down to a few hundreds in numbers back then. Our parks and forests also help us against the rising number of floodings because the rainwater percolates in the soil, and it also helps us against the rising number of heat waves in the city. These are all consequences from climate change that have already arrived. In my lunch break, I have a delicious and fresh veggie meal from the shop next door. They grow their own local plants organically. And these sometimes ancient species were rediscovered and perfectly adapted to our local microclimate. You wouldn't find this meal in Munich, for example. And my waste? The waste is separated and later used to produce electricity. Actually, every rooftop has a solar array or a small and silent windmill which produces enough renewable energy for our city. I finish my work around 3 p.m. because we all have shorter working hours nowadays. This is because more work is done by AI and automation. When I'm at home, I only need to walk 10 minutes to the grocery store. Today, I need to buy some nuts, cereals, and soap. I have to bring along my own containers and glass jars as we avoid as much packaging as possible. In the evening, I have a beer on my garden rooftop with some friends. We have so much fun harvesting our own homegrown tomatoes and salads for dinner. Some of my friends just moved here because their own cities close to the coast had to be evacuated when the sea level rose. I call it an early night because I still have something to do. There is this climate game jam. There's this climate game that I wanted to check out before I go to bed. It was developed in 2020 during a climate game jam in Mexico. And I'm really curious how they achieved to spread this climate message in society back then. So this is the end of our dream journey. It's time to wake up again, to open your eyes. And did you like what you have just seen? How many books, movies, and games do you know that portray the end of humanity by zombies, by viruses, by aliens, or nuclear fallouts? And how many stories do you know talking about a climate-friendly and sustainable world? I believe we need a new narrative of a climate-friendly and sustainable future. We need to get away from terrifying scenarios, and we need to bring life into scientific facts and political demands. We need new ways to spread climate awareness, climate mitigation, and climate adaptation into society. It needs to be part of everything, of our economics, of our agriculture, of our city planning, our forestry, and even product design. This is a cross-sectoral topic. But most of all, we need to find a communication that is telling compelling stories about heroes and heroines, their struggles, their failures, and their successes, on how they reached a sustainable world against all odds. How can we show and tell people that their own actions matter for climate-friendly future? How can we reach every single individual on this planet? Because we are all in this together. How can we use and connect culture with climate messages? These are the questions and tasks of our generation. It's our young generation. Actually, it's you guys listening to me right now who will have to live the longest with the actions and decisions taken today. We have the creativity and power to change those things, and hopefully also the ability to increase the quality of those virtual backgrounds. Well, but for now, I've talked enough. It's your turn now. You have the stage. I would like to invite you to present your boldest and most creative ideas, as I am sure we share the same visions. I can't wait to play your version of our sustainable and environmental friendly world. Now, show me your contribution to the future.